The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond, you're listening to the RCWR Show, Weekend Edition, with your host, Lee Sanders.
I was about to say 2003-16. Forgive me for that. March 16th, 2013. What I was trying to say was happy 316 to everybody. Glass breaking, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold. Oh, God, 316. You got to love it. Very rare that we get a day like this, let alone on a damn weekend. Speaking of weekend, I hope it's going off to a good start for you all so far. Loving this new weather that we're starting to get. It's pretty much going to be time to ditch the winter coats. Can't wait. But then again, if you're more closer to the West Coast, it's pretty much warm where you are. But, hey, I'm just waiting. I'm just counting it down. I can't wait to start pushing my short sleeve shirts, bust out the shades, all that good stuff. And we're a couple of weeks away from WrestleMania. The pay-per-view of all pay-per-views. All right, hey, as always, we got the chat room. It's open for you guys right now over on blogtalkradio.com. Love to hear from you throughout the course of today's show, so feel free to jump on in there when you get a free moment. That's blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show. You can also kick back, interact with yours truly on Twitter as I'm on the air for the next 90-plus minutes. Hit us up at Infinity One Prod. And while you're at it, give our page a like on Facebook at Infinity One Productions for a little bit of news that you can use. Now, if you did not catch a good week of solid wrestling programming, we got you hooked up. You know how we do it over here. We cover everything that you might have missed from WWE, TNA. We hook you up. And we also go beyond that as we give you a little bit of what's all been going on in entertainment. And you definitely want to make sure you stick part in the later part of the show as we got a really good review for a couple of albums I want to tell you about. One of them being Dave Grohl's Sound City soundtrack. You definitely want to hear that review, especially if you're a little bit on the fence about checking it out. You'll definitely love what I have to say about it. For now, kick on back, relax, and let's rewind it back to what you might have missed from WWE Raw this past Monday night. Fresh off the heels of one William Paul Bearer Moody's death, WWE Raw, they did the man justice for 3 hours, just all throughout the night. They paid homage to Paul Bearer, giving us some highlights of his career, his debut, him working alongside Undertaker at WrestleMania 20, the night that we had got Kane's debut in 1997, and just all throughout the night, we were getting a little special video tributes to Paul Bearer, WWE Universe even asking fans to share their experience and memories of Paul Bearer. And for the most part, the top video responses was pretty good, but it was a very classy episode. At the same time, you knew that they were going to somehow capitalize on this storyline. They just had to, folks, because this, they needed this. They needed it to be that jump spark, if you will, for CM Punk and Undertaker, as at this point there really wasn't too much you could really get behind to really sink your teeth into, looking forward to this match. But luckily, they did not go all out crazy. It could have went in another direction, one that would have been very tasteless and totally disrespectful, but it didn't go that route. They almost flirted with it, but they did pretty good, I thought, as we saw Undertaker. He comes out to kick off the show. You're thinking maybe he's going to kick back and he's going to say something about his good friend Paul Bearer, as there's an urn in the ring. He gets in there, he drops to that knee, he's getting ready to pay homage, and we see CM Punk come out, interrupt that moment just to play the mind games. And it's supposed to be Undertaker, folks. That's supposed to be the king of the whole mind games. Well, he got one-upped this week as CM Punk got in his head telling him he's sorry for his loss coming at WrestleMania, just ruining a whole moment right there. Kane tried to come in there on behalf of his big brother. CM Punk evaded him, though. Eventually, we had got to see Kane and CM Punk get it on in a main event match, which ended with Kane picking up the victory, as afterwards we saw the reunited Brothers of Destruction unite to pay homage to Paul Bearer, but it didn't last that long, as we saw CM Punk able to grab onto that urn, attack Kane with it, and quickly leave out the ring just as Undertaker was coming down to get him. CM Punk now has the urn hostage. Where this is going to go, no one knows, but you're kicking back and you are just looking at what had went down with this. I don't know about you all that have seen Raw, but I'm definitely sold for this match now. I think in some shape or form, as Diamond K pointed out on our Tuesday night Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR show, Paul Bearer is going to be involved in some shape or form, and I think that this is really just good timing, and I was definitely very critical of the words that I had used to describe this, because I'm still kind of kicking back, even though we're a few days removed now. I still feel that if it wasn't for the death of Paul Bearer, I'm not really sure where this was going to be going exactly, because I really had got the impression that these two guys were probably just going to come out and cut promos on one another. That's just my take. And it really wasn't anything I could really get behind. It just kind of seemed like it was floating there. And I know that's maybe a little bit premature to say for some folks. After all, we're still a couple of weeks away from Mania. But usually at this point, the storyline, it's already there. It's moving. You're already invested. So I just think that the timing of Paul Bearer Moody's death, very interesting timing, as now you kind of have a little bit of something to get behind. Other action we saw from WWE Raw this past Monday night. We had got to hear from Brock Lesnar, the Beast, as far as whether or not he was going to accept Triple H's challenge to get it on at this year's WrestleMania. Well, it wasn't exactly Brock Lesnar that had spoke. It was actually Paul Heyman that was doing most of the work, folks. And the answer would be yes. It would be Triple H versus Brock Lesnar, but there is a stipulation to this. Triple H will have to sign a contract and agree to a stipulation, one of Heyman and Lesnar's choosing. And Triple H won't know what that stipulation is until after he signs the contract. Triple H will be appearing on this Monday night's Raw to respond and give the final verdict on whether or not he's going to agree to these circumstances. Well, a lot of speculation. What's going to be happening with this particular match? What's the stipulation? Is it going to be possibly a MMA type of match? Is it going to be maybe a career on the line match? A lot of folks are leaning towards possibly it's going to be a MMA fight. And I'm really hoping that it does not go in that direction. I think the direction that they need to go in is maybe just have it be pull a page out of what had went down at I want to say maybe it was SummerSlam 2002, 2003, that one SummerSlam where we had Triple H, Shawn Michaels get it on, unsanctioned match. Maybe they can kind of pull that type of a card. I'm not really too sold behind the idea of MMA, as it's bad enough as it is. We got those hardcore MMA fans that like to rip on promotions like the WWE, TNA. They're very quick to sit up and say that the wrestling is fake. And, of course, we already know that the wrestling is fake. After all, it is entertainment. But they'll be very quick to crap on it. So to hear that WWE fan try to tell his MMA friends that Triple H and Brock Lesnar are going to be getting into a MMA fight, a lot of folks aren't really going to be buying into it, especially if they're familiar with the WWE product. But I'm definitely expecting the announcement to be a MMA-type match. If not that, maybe Triple H puts his job on the line, and if he loses, that's it. He's done. He's done from WWE as far as an executive. He's done with the company as a wrestler. That's it. But I'm leaning more towards MMA, and honestly, I think that's the route they're going to be going because they want to try to capitalize as much as possible on Brock Lesnar's fans in the MMA. And honestly, I think from a marketing standpoint, it's definitely a good way to go. I think it's an interesting way to kind of maybe reintroduce the MMA fans to the WWE product. After all, those same MMA fans who most likely are in their 30s, 40s, they most likely grew up on the WWE product during the Attitude Era days, and once it started to get a little too kiddie for them, they took their ball and they went to go check out boxing, MMA. You know, they settled for the real deal stuff. So to hear Brock Lesnar is going to be in an MMA fight against Triple H, I think without a doubt it's going to have them and many other MMA fans come on back and see what's going on with this particular match. And, hey, after all, you think about the current card for this year's WrestleMania, and, I mean, honestly, it's shaping up to be pretty damn good. We've already got 5 matches, which we'll tell you about in the later part of the show, but it's already shaping up to be a damn good event, and that's just the main matches. The undercard still hasn't been announced just yet. You know, we got more matches to come in the next couple of weeks. But look for that to happen. Some people may be a little bit disappointed by that, but honestly, I think it's a good marketing strategy to try to lure in those MMA and Brock Lesnar fans. Speaking of Raw, while we're still on it, also making a historic return, if you want to call it that, the one and only Brie and Bella, Twin Magic, the Bella Twins, made their return to the company this past week. Girls were only gone for, God, it felt like maybe they were gone for about maybe 4 months or something like that. They came on back, and they were in a very interesting backstage segment with the WWE Champion, Caitlyn. Caitlyn was ecstatic to see them, but the Bella Twins, they quickly had put her on notice, saying that they do not like what's been happening with the Divas division and that they are back to try to bring some legitimacy back into it. Of course, this would not be the only time we would hear of the Bella Twins and see them for that matter. And not quite exactly a Eve Torres or a Michelle McCool, but it does help. And speaking of Eve Torres, we do have some news for you guys that we'll cover with her, as she did make her return to the company as well. Somewhat. I'll give you the 411 about that in a little bit. But I'm definitely happy to see the Bella Twins come back. I guess maybe after they left WWE, things did not go so well post-wrestling. I know they were talking about trying to get into movies and try to get into TV shows and all that. And to my knowledge, as long as I've been staying on top of wrestling news, they really hadn't been doing anything that significant. If anything, Kelly, she's been having a little bit more success post-WWE in recent years when you think about divas that have recently left the promotion. So it definitely didn't surprise me that the Bella Twins were going to be coming back, at least one of them. I wasn't expecting both. But it doesn't surprise me that both of them came back. After all, one of them is dating John Cena, so I think it was just a matter of time before they came on back. They probably just wanted to take a little breather and just rest up a little bit. And, hey, I'm not complaining. I'm glad to see them back. Adds a little bit more depth to a thinning Divas roster. But as I pointed out this past Tuesday night, if I were one WWE Divas champion, Caitlyn, I would be very concerned about this move. As you look at this, and you can take it as a bad sign that, you're not really doing what you need to be doing for that title and as for the Divas division, for that matter. So she's definitely going to need to step her game up big time if she wants to continue to remain relevant, because the crowd reactions for her, my God, man, it's just freaking ridiculous right now. Other than that, from WWE Raw this past week, it was pretty much definitely a damn good episode. For those wondering, that continue to wonder if Paul Bearer is going to get inducted into the Hall of Fame, I don't see it happening. I think that with the 3-hour tribute that they did for Bearer, I think they pretty much kind of got it all out of their system right now. I think it would be too much overkill to try to have him be inducted into this year's Hall of Fame. And once again, and I can't stress this enough, the current Hall of Fame class for this year, it's ridiculous. We would forget all about Paul Bearer in there. If you try to go back 5 years from now and talk about who was inducted into the 2013 Hall of Fame, you're going to sit up and say Bob Backlund and Bruno Sammartino, Trish Stratus, hardcore legend Mick Foley. They're going to be an afterthought. You throw Paul Bearer in there, he's definitely, unfortunately, going to be an afterthought as well. Not unless you're a hardcore historic freak and you're able to remember stuff like that. It would just be too much overkill. So once again, just to put the final verdict on that, just look for him to be inducted next year. The Shield, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, they have made their impact felt as well. They did not forget about the unfinished business that they had with the 7'2", 500-pound fire-breathing monster, the Big Show. They decimated him this past week. I mean, they delivered a triple powerbomb on this guy, which really had begged the question, is there anybody that can possibly step up to stop the Shield? Well, speaking of the Shield, that answer would somewhat be answered on Friday Night SmackDown. We'll tell you all about that right after we come back from a commercial break. We'll also tell you what you might have missed from this past week in main event and TNA Impact Wrestling, as it was the first of many permanent live events in the U.S., and what better way to kick it off than in Chi-Town. We'll hook you up and let you guys know what all had went down this week in wrestling after this brief commercial break. You're listening to the RCWR Show Weekend Edition. We'll be coming right back, folks.
For news you can use, like us on Facebook during this commercial break at Infinity One Productions.
Black Avenger Lee Sanders here. All right, so WWE main event, as seen on the Ion channel, was this past week. Damn good episode, too, man. We saw a damn good match between Alberto Del Rio and Big Show. If the first time wasn't good enough, they had to excruciate us with that clip of Alberto Del Rio as Jack Swagger and Ricardo Rodriguez as Zeb Coulter. As I said earlier this week, first 2 minutes of it was kind of funny, but then after that, it's kind of like, okay, let's move right along. I can't believe they actually showed the clip in its entirety again, but I was very happy when we got past that and we got to see some damn good wrestling between Big Show and Alberto Del Rio. I was a little disappointed that we had got a little bit of interference there in those final few seconds of the bout, as I was really enjoying it. I was loving seeing Big Show putting in that work. Big Show coming back to a main event. We saw him just about, 2-3 weeks ago in a pretty good 30-minute match. Well, Jack Swagger would come on down, and he played a very critical role in the final few seconds of this bout as Alberto Del Rio He unfortunately took a little bit of a nasty fall outside of the ring as he was on the apron, and Jack Swagger came in, added insult to injury, and Big Show was able to pick up a win via countout as Del Rio wasn't able to make it back into the ring in time. Other action that we saw on main event, we saw the one and only Usos in action as they had defeated 3MB. We also saw Wade Barrett, who took on Justin Gabriel again. Looks like this rivalry has been renewed. I always love it when these two guys get it on. But, that's not the biggest news that came out from wrestling this week. Now, we got a little bit of news that we want to share with you guys, in case you might have missed it, but we definitely want to talk about it in depth, as we were just talking about the Usos. It looks like Jimmy Uso was arrested again, and this time for, you guessed it, DUI. Now, the wrestler was arrested earlier this week down in Florida, and he was charged with driving under the influence, according to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. He did not stay in jail for long, though, as he was released on $500 cash bond that same day. So he was only in there for just about maybe, at least 2 hours, pretty much. And remember, he was previously arrested back in September of 2011 for suspicion of driving under the influence. And an officer had observed him on that day driving the wrong way down a one-way street in a silver Mustang. So you think about that. Just marinate on that for a second, folks. You think about what had just went down a couple of weeks ago with Jack Swagger, with the DUI, in possession of weed, speeding, and the way it's kind of looking right now, nothing is really happening to him. Looks like his push is still intact, at least until we see what goes down at WrestleMania. Rumblings were he was going to possibly win the World Heavyweight title. I'm not really so sure it's going to happen now, but, we got Jack Swagger, and now we got Uso. And, quite honestly, if I'm kicking back and I'm WWE right now, I'm looking at this, I think a message needs to be sent, and it needs to be made loud and clear that they are just not going to tolerate this type of behavior. And honestly, depending on how much they like the Usos, and all due respect to Junior Fatu, a.k.a. Rikishi, who's actually one of our Twitter buddies, I'm just going to be for real. I think this young man needs to be suspended. I won't say fired. I definitely think he needs to be suspended. I think being fired is just a little bit too extreme, but let him be suspended for about 30, maybe 45 days, since this is a second offense. Let him miss out on, he's probably going to miss out on WrestleMania as it is anyway, but let him miss out on house show events, live events, and that should send a very strong message to him, as well as everybody in the back, that they just aren't going to tolerate this type of stuff. And some people may sit up and say, well, wait a minute, how come they can do that to Uso, but they can't do that to Jack Swagger? That's because Jack Swagger, he has that Coulter, for one. Number two, those two guys have been making freaking headlines, pissing off people left and right in the political parties. So they're hot right now, whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not. They're pretty freaking hot right now. And it's amazing what one guy could do for a wrestler that doesn't even really say anything. All he pretty much did was grew some facial hair and isn't really talking as much, and he's an overnight sensation. And, so that's why nothing is going to happen to Jack Swagger At least possibly not until after WrestleMania. But I think they need to send a message right now that they're not going to tolerate this type of behavior. I think before things start to get a little bit too out of hand, they need to get on top of this. And if you've been keeping track of the WWE superstars that have gotten in trouble so far within recent months, I mean, you go to what went down with this young man, and then you rewind it back to Jack Swagger. A little bit before that, it was Caitlyn. A little bit before that, it was Funketeer dancer Cameron. So shaping up to be very. These are some young badass boys, aren't they? That's all I got to say about that. All right, let's talk about TNA Impact Wrestling. Man, great freaking live event. Fresh off of their lockdown pay-per-view, which was looking like it was in front of a sold-out crowd. The attendance was just off the chain hot. We come to Chicago, the Sears Center. They made lightning strike twice again. Jam-packed arena, great atmosphere as it looks like the new era of TNA wrestling begins. Of course, Bully Ray is the champion, and he is the president of Aces and Eights. And, man, what a good way to kick off Impact Wrestling as we get the new TNA champion rubbing it into Hulk Hogan's face, how he punked him, how he screwed Brooke, and how he lied to Sting. Just worked everybody to get his way to the top of the company with that title, as now the company is being held up for hostage here. And Bully Ray threatening the Hulkster throughout the night to come on, fire him and the rest of Aces and Eights, but the Hulkster would not do that. And we just saw these guys just playing around with Hogan, just teasing him, taunting him the whole night, begging him to fire them. It did not go down. Finally, at the end of the night, Hulk Hogan, he would make an appearance after Aces and Eights said they were going to go on a rampage and destroy Impact. He informed them that firing them, it would just be too easy. Every dog has its day. Bully Ray's day is going to be coming very soon as he's given the power to every single man and woman on the TNA roster, the right to band together, take the fight with Aces and Eights, try to get these guys out of the company once and for all. Led by the charismatic Enigma Jeff Hardy, along with Samoa Joe, banged up Kurt Angle, Magnus, Eric Young. We saw pretty much the entire roster of good guys come on out, band together, and try to take on Aces and Eights. But in the end of this particular battle, it was Aces and Eights that came out on top as a stare down came between Bully Ray and Hulk Hogan, top of the stage ramp. Bully Ray asking the Hulkster, what's he going to do now that his Calvary has been destroyed? And that alone, you're getting goosebumps. You just see the way that Aces and Eights have come out looking strong this past Thursday night. And it just kind of feels like almost a completely different Aces and Eights now that Bully Ray is involved in this. It just really kind of had many low points, looking as though it was just dragging on for too damn long, and I still feel that it dragged on for a little bit too long, that this trigger should have been pulled a couple of months back, at least maybe 3 months ago. But I'm glad that they did it now. What better way to kick it off? I think the timing, even though even though they prolonged it, I think the timing is good, because if they didn't capitalize at lockdown, then they really wouldn't have any type of buzz going in their favor as they're now on the road. And I don't think the first TNA live event in Chicago would not have been as memorable. So I truly believe the timing of it is right. And, me and Diamond, we did not know this until after we were done with the show. And I'm sure many of you probably weren't aware until after we went off the air as well. If you were listening to Impact Showdown Radio this past Thursday night, turns out after Impact went off the air, Aces and Eights, they held up the ImpactWrestling.com website. They took it over, and they took over Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter. Everything was held hostage. It was given a new design, and Aces and Eights, they were complaining about not seeing enough of their merchandise on the website and that it needed to be more about Aces and Eights. And this would last overnight, going into, I believe, maybe early afternoon Friday, as TNA Wrestling, they had released a statement saying that their IT guys, they're investigating it, but that everything is now back to normal. But it was pretty damn cool seeing them hack it and take all of social media over like that. I thought that was a nice little touch. And other action that we had saw from Aces and Eights, I should let you guys know, we had saw the return of AJ Styles, as he didn't say anything. He came on now right after James Storm had defeated Christopher Daniels. Daniels and Kazarian, they tried to get a jump on Storm post-match. We saw the return of AJ Styles. He quickly gave a beatdown to Kazarian, was trying to go for Daniels, but Daniels, he escaped in time. And just when it looked as if AJ Styles, at least the babyface version, is back, just when you're kind of thinking to yourself, wait, maybe we're going to see AJ Styles team up with James Storm, and maybe they're going to try to feud with Bad Influence. No, on the contrary, we see AJ Styles just sucker punch James Storm to roll out the ring. That just continues to have fans wondering just what is up with AJ Styles. And as me and Diamond had discussed this past Thursday night, I'm truly believing that in a couple of weeks we're probably going to see Aces and Eights try to reach out to him and recruit him. But ultimately, I think, to echo the words of Diamond, I think Aces and Eights has too many heels in their stable as it is. AJ Styles is, I don't think he's going to be just a clear-cut babyface. I think he's going to be one of those type of cats that's just going to do what he wants to do when he wants to do it. He's going to be a bit of a rebel, and the fans are still going to love him. I think that's the route that they're going to go with this. And I'm liking this new mean streak that we're seeing from him. And hopefully we can get a little bit more next week. Now, if it was me and I was booking this, I actually wouldn't have AJ Styles turn up next week. I would have him be back at his home in Georgia, and I would actually show footage from what had went down this past week for the recap of next Thursday. And maybe it could be a case where cameras could try to go back down there and catch up with him, or maybe it could be a case where James Storm tries to fly on down to Georgia and confront AJ Styles to find out what the hell is going on with him. That would be a very interesting move. I think would be good played out on television. But, when I think about the first episode of Impact Wrestling on the road that we got from this past week, the one thing that just really stands out in my mind is just how many TNA wrestling fans are out here in the U.S. And, so many times we always hear, and I've been doing this now for a year. I've done over, I've done over 170 episodes. And the one thing that I've always been able to come across since I have been a broadcaster is the amount of people that talk badly about TNA wrestling. They always slam it. Yet, whenever something positive comes around for the company that you can't deny, they're quick to turn a blind eye. They don't want to give the company its props. And, yet when you have massive turnouts like what they've had at the Lockdown pay-per-view, like at the event they had in Chicago, you can't help but kick back and say, well, you know what? Maybe the tides are finally changing. Maybe they finally are getting to that next level that they need to be on. And I tell you what, it may be coming at a very slow rate, but at least we're finally seeing the moves being made. And honestly, I think they've been living up to their word so far this year. They promised us that they were going to have more of a presence on social media, and they've been doing that. They promised us that TNA would be going on the road in the U.S. A lot of us were kind of under the impression that maybe this was something that wasn't going to happen for another 6 months, that maybe it wasn't going to start until summertime. It came a lot sooner than that, and they cut back on their pay-per-views. They're now only giving us, 8 major pay-per-views out of the 12-month calendar year. I mean, everything has just been going in favor for the promotion, and we're still in the first quarter of this year. So mad props to the TNA organization as they continue to evolve. And it's very interesting that I say all of this, as Kurt Angle, just right before the Lockdown pay-per-view, he was recently asked in an interview, what does he see happening with the promotion in the next 5 years, as far as if it's going to be competitive to, maybe WWE or just in general. Now, he gave this interview to the Chicago Now, and this is a direct quote right here. He said, "It continues to grow, no doubt, worldwide. We're on the road for good, and we're taking little steps to improve the overall product. I believe in 5 years, if things are done right, we could be competing with the monster, WWE. They have amazing programming, and Vince McMahon has done wonders for his product. I have been in Impact Wrestling for 7 years, and I thought by now we would be up in the ratings. I believe that's going to take a little more time." And I definitely want you guys to go check that out. That was from the Chicago Now. He also had talked about if MMA will ever become an Olympic sport. The infamous WWE milk truck incident. You check out that full interview. It's going to be over at the Chicago Now website. You can head over there by going to chicagonow.com. And have no fear, we'll actually have the link posted on our Facebook page. It's actually available right now on our Facebook page, just in case you want to check it out. So go give that a look. But, I definitely agree with those sentiments. I do feel in just a couple of more years, if the promotion continues to go at the rate that they're going right now, I do feel that they can be competitive. I won't say they'll be able to match WWE, but they will definitely, as they are continuing to do with WWE, they will be continuing to raise eyebrows. And look, folks, this is how much of an impact, no pun intended, TNA has been making here as far as going on the road live in the U.S. WWE, as I mentioned a couple of weeks back, they are now trying to set up and book arenas for longer periods of time. They're trying to secure as many dates as they possibly can. So, when you got that type of backing money to sit up and say, look, okay, I want this for June, and then I want to come on back in August, and then I want to come on back in October. I mean, they're really trying to make sure that TNA doesn't really have that much of a chance in booking the same arenas that WWE is coming through. But honestly, I think in the end, I don't really think that's going to be a problem. I think TNA has just been doing a phenomenal job. And honestly, depending on the city and the state, there's definitely going to be people that's going to be eyeballing the TNA product. and want to try to see if they can bring in revenue to that city, they're going to want to reach out to them and see what the promotion can do for them. So all that little stuff that they're trying to do, that's not really going to get them anywhere. All right, I want to go on ahead and I want to take another commercial break, but when we come right back, we're going to cover the fallout from Friday Night SmackDown, where we saw a great five-star match between the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla, host and commentator of Robot Combat League, Chris Jericho, as he took on We the People, Jack Swagger. I'll give you guys the 411 on that. We'll also dip into a little bit more wrestling news. We've been kind of hooking you guys up a little bit here and there. Hope you guys have been kind of noticing that and appreciating it. But we'll hook you up with a little bit more. We'll also cover the very latest in Ring of Honor wrestling news and beyond. You're checking out the weekend edition of the RCWR show. We will be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond. You're listening to the RCWR Show, Weekend Edition, with your host, Lee Sanders.
All right, so before we continue, I just want to take this time out to thank those of you that checked out our shows for January and February, as you have made those 2 months be our most strongest months since we've been on the air. We just continue to roll. All the months are good, but I was looking at the numbers for January and February, and I was quite pleased with what I had saw. And I definitely want to take this time out to thank you guys for making it possible for us to keep doing what we love doing over here, as we are fresh into our 1-year anniversary. And we officially had acknowledged it this past Tuesday night, as it was officially our 1-year anniversary on that day, this past Tuesday night. And we're just celebrating all month long. I know I had told you guys I was in the process of trying to get guests to come on to the show this month, and we got half the month left. There's a couple of people that I've been communicating with, trying to see if they might have a little bit of time in their schedule, as it's kind of crazy to come on by the show. And I'll definitely keep you guys updated. But before this month is out, we'll definitely have some folks that's going to be stopping by. I want to go for 2. If I can't get 2, I know I can definitely get 1. But I'll definitely keep you guys updated. So for all the latest, make sure you check us out on Twitter at Infinity One Prod, Facebook at Infinity One Productions, of course the website itself, and we always hook you guys up. That's pretty much the places to check out for any updates on guests that's going to be coming by. And also, in case you might not know, we have a new Twitter handle. We're still at Infinity One Prod, and you can actually use that to interact with us. As from time to time, we'll chat with random folks. But we have a new Twitter handle at the RCWR Show, and you're more than welcome to add that for all upcoming shows. You're not going to get any interaction on that handle. It's just going to strictly give you guys updates on upcoming shows, guests that's going to be dropping by, all of that stuff. So if you like us and you want to represent, feel free to add that and spread the good word. We appreciate that as always. All right, so let's pick it right back up where we left off in our last segment, as it's now time to talk about Friday Night SmackDown. I love it when we get to talk about Friday Night SmackDown. WrestleMania 29 is starting to take shape now, as we finally have figured out one of those million-dollar questions that's been on a lot of people's minds, including yours truly. Just what's going on with the Shield? Are they going to have a WrestleMania match? Well, duh, but who exactly are they going to be taking on? Because it kind of seems like the guys that they're messing around with, they're kind of going into these different directions. They got all these other angles going on. Well, what exactly is happening right here? Well, we see Sheamus and Randy Orton. They had teamed up to take on Team Rhodes Scholars. Now, this was supposed to go down initially, I believe, on Raw, but it didn't quite pan out that way. As first, Team Rhodes Scholars were supposed to take on the New Age Outlaws. They got interrupted by a returning Brock Lesnar who had destroyed the hell out of the Outlaws. So later on in that same episode, they were put in a match against Sheamus, Randy Orton, which they lost. So you come to SmackDown, you're kind of wondering, well, why are we getting this match again? Well, Team Rhodes Scholars, they felt that they were not prepared to take on Sheamus and Randy Orton. They just didn't have enough time to get prepared for them, and they kind of felt like they were screwed this past Monday night. So this week they're looking to get a little bit of retribution. Well, that didn't turn out that way, and I like how originally we were supposed to have Team Rhodes Scholars retire or split up a couple of weeks back, but it seems like they just keep getting back together. They love each other. But, you know, I have a very interesting theory about the end result of this. I'll share a little bit more with you all after I get done talking about SmackDown. But we saw Sheamus and Randy Orton. They defeated Team Rhodes Scholars. Now, immediately after the match, we hear the music of the Shield. You're wondering, where are they? Where are they going to be coming from? They actually appeared on the Titantron, and they were rubbing it in the boys' faces how they have just been on a serious warpath within recent weeks, that there's nobody that can possibly stop them. They've taken out The Rock. They've taken out John Cena. They've taken out Big Show. They've taken out Randy Orton. They've taken out Sheamus. Need we mention they took out ECW alumni Tommy frickin' Dreamer, okay? They have just been destroying people left and right. Ryback, I mean, you name it. Brad Maddox, tons of people. But they feel that with two particular stars, being The Rock and John Cena, despite getting the beat down, they have a main event match at WrestleMania while the Shield is left out in the cold. Talk about injustice. They, too, want a match at the pay-per-view of pay-per-views. Well, Sheamus, Randy Orton, they tell the Shield, hey, okay, count us in. We're on. We'll take you on at WrestleMania. So it looks like this match is set. But the only question is, who is Randy Orton and Sheamus going to get to partner up with them? Well, in a backstage segment later on in the night, we would see Big Show walk up to these guys and say, look, it's obvious you guys need a tag partner. I haven't forgotten what the Shield did to me. You need somebody that is just nasty, ferocious, that can really just get the job done, is all about business. You won't regret this. Go with me. And it looks like maybe Sheamus and Orton are going to go in that direction. But instead, folks, their man was actually Mr. Feed Me More, Ryback. So our main event match, one of them at least, at WrestleMania 29, is going to be Randy Orton, Sheamus, Ryback, taking on the Shield's Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. Now, let's pick it up later on in the night again. As we saw Sheamus and Randy Orton, they were getting ready to cut a promo backstage about the addition of Ryback and the match coming up against the Shield at Mania, when the Shield, from out of nowhere, they jumped these guys. They beat them down so bad. SmackDown General Manager, I was about to say Teddy Long, but God, shows how long I've been watching SmackDown. Booker T and Teddy Long come to the scene and analyze everything that had went down. And we see Ryback very concerned. He's trying to figure out what's going down here. And we see Teddy, Booker, they tell him to focus on his match against Mark Henry, which was coming up next. That's right, folks, Mark Henry versus Ryback. They've been teasing us with this for a couple of weeks. Looked like these two bulls was finally going to get it on, but wait, it doesn't happen. The Shield are not done yet. They made an appearance, and they beat down Ryback. Ryback put up a very valiant effort, but it was just not enough as they destroyed him with a little bit of a distraction from Mark Henry as they delivered a triple powerbomb. Well, Mark Henry would come back in picking up the scraps, and he would deliver not one, not two, but count them, 3 world's strongest slams to just lay out Ryback. You know, you're kind of wondering here, folks, well, if we got this scenario going down between Ryback, Mark Henry, what exactly is going to be going down with these two men? Are they going to get it on at another, are they going to get it on maybe on Raw? Are they going to get it on Main Event? What exactly is going to be going down here? Honestly, folks, if I'm booking this right, I would love to just keep flirting with the idea of a Mark Henry versus Ryback. I think this is something that should maybe go down at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. I don't think we need to see this play out on regular TV. As much as I would like to see it go down on WWE Main Event, I really don't want to see it happen. I want to pay to see this. I think this would be a damn good match. I don't think folks would be disappointed. I think the little bit that we saw from these two guys on SmackDown this past Friday was enough for me to say that these two guys would just tear the roof off if it was going down at an actual pay-per-view. So I would kind of have there be a little bit of a break, at least for a little while longer. But then another route, folks, that this could possibly go, we could possibly see Mark Henry side with the Shield to take on Randy Orton, Sheamus, Ryback, and maybe Big Show could get recruited that way and put on that side. I mean, at this point, you kind of got to look at a Mark Henry and a Big Show, and you kind of have to say to yourself, what exactly are these two guys going to be doing come WrestleMania, huh? That's the million-dollar question. I think it needs to be a 4-on-4. When was the last time you got a 4-on-4 tag match? I think it's been forever, let alone at WrestleMania. I think that would be a very smart move to do. Give everybody something to do. Let's continue on now. We were talking about the Bella Twins. I teased you guys earlier. Well, we did see them again as they had a few words with Cameron and Naomi. Now, I'm kind of getting the impression here that these girls are all around the same age, but the way Cameron and Naomi spoke to the Bella Twins, now, you can't make this shit up, guys. They actually said to them, we grew up watching you all. You all were such an inspiration to us. You all are what had helped us get into the business, and we got to thank you for that. Well, no, wait, but you grew up watching the Bella Twins. What the hell kind of crap is that? The Bella Twins aren't that damn old. Well, in either case, we see the Bella Twins. They just sarcastically tell them, look, get your little hoochie mama-looking faces out of our grills. We ain't trying to hear all that crap. And basically, we see all four of these girls just throw it down. Officials had to break it up. Guys, I don't know about you all. I want to see the four of these girls get it on. I think the showcase event should be on Main Event. I think it would be I won't say an opener, but I think it should be maybe the second or third match to close out Main Event. I would like to see it happen. Or, hey, it could happen as early as Raw. I know they got 3 hours they need to kill. Be kind of nice to kind of see what, might happen a little bit in there. At least that way, that would explain one appearance from Fandango. Fandango was supposed to have a match against Great Khali on SmackDown, but unfortunately, Great Khali could not pronounce the man's name right for the love of him. He tried pronouncing each syllable. It did not go down as correctly. Put all the words together, and Great Khali, he just took one massive crap on Fandango's name, and once again, we got teased by Fandango as no match, no go. At this point, I truly believe we're going to see this guy make his debut match at WrestleMania. And it's been a long time since we've seen somebody make a debut at WrestleMania. Looking very forward to it. Of course, we had also saw that main event match I was telling you guys about, Y2J, Chris Jericho. He took on Jack Swagger. And, man, how about that Jack Swagger? He might not be uttering a word, but that man can frickin' wrestle. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the new demeanor. Maybe it's the fact that he's teamed up with Zeb Coulter, but it's just those little things that you start to notice that makes you kick back and say to yourself, damn, this Swagger kid, he's one hell of a athlete when he is in that ring, and he really threw it down with Chris Jericho. And if you didn't see SmackDown, I highly encourage you guys to, of all the things, I just want you guys to just go check out that match. That's the real meat and potatoes from this past week. Check that out. Good stuff right there. I was in love with that match. I actually ended up watching it twice. That's just how good that match was, which still kind of puts the question into my mind right now. What exactly is going on with Chris Jericho? What the hell is he going to be doing at WrestleMania this year? It just kind of seems like he's floating around. We got 3 weeks left. What the hell is going to happen here? I'm very concerned. It's just really starting to look like Jericho isn't even going to be doing anything at WrestleMania, and I know he's supposed to be working with them just a little bit up until after WrestleMania. So you're kind of wondering, okay, what's going on here? We got 3 weeks to go until WrestleMania. Hopefully we'll get something this Monday night, because I would just be a little bit shocked if nothing was announced for Jericho at Mania. And you got to capitalize. I mean, the guy is having one impressive run right now in the company. You got to capitalize on his appearance. You got to capitalize on his stock. I mean, the guy, everything he touches for the most part is just money. And combine that with the sci-fi hit Robot Combat League. I mean, come on, win-win situation. You got to have Jericho at Mania, no brainer. But what's he going to be doing? If I were to give a early prediction right now, I'm trying to think who doesn't have a match. I think maybe we should try to see Jericho take on Wade Barrett. And I know I'm kind of reaching there, but I mean, there's already a little bit of history right there. Maybe you could have some type of a scenario go down where after the fallout from this triple threat match that's coming on Raw between Wade Barrett versus Chris Jericho versus The Miz for the Intercontinental title, I still feel that Antonio Cesaro needs to interfere in that match. I need to see him do something to cause a distraction for The Miz and basically kind of help out Wade Barrett in retaining the title. And as a result of that, we see Wade Barrett retain his title. And then after that, I think what would be a very interesting match would be to see a tag team match as we see United States champion Antonio Cesaro team up with Wade Barrett to take on Miz and Chris Jericho. And I think the way that this match needs to go down is the Intercontinental and the United States title needs to be on the line. So basically, whichever guy pins that respected champion, they'll get that belt, and the other guy will get the other belt. I think that's how maybe you could kind of clear this up a little bit and actually give these guys something to do. I don't really think it would be, I mean, that's one route they could go, but another route they could go is they could have Miz take on Antonio Cesaro for the title, and then maybe you could have Jericho take on Barrett for the title, but you would need to have a couple of more weeks of storyline between Wade Barrett and Chris Jericho. 3 weeks to go, basically 3 Raw episodes, 3 SmackDowns. I guess that's enough time to kind of tell a little bit of a story if you want to go in that direction of Jericho versus Barrett in a singles match. I'm very curious to see how this is going to play out because right now it's kind of up in the air, and with only 4 matches announced for the WrestleMania card, they still have a little bit of a long ways to go. They still got to give us at least 4, maybe possibly 5 more matches. And if you aren't aware of how the current card is looking right now, I actually have it for you guys. Let's hook you up right now. So, of course, the main event itself, it's going to be The Rock versus John Cena. You know, that's probably going to be like a 25, 30-minute match right there. Alberto Del Rio is going to be taking on Jack Swagger for the World Heavyweight title. Undertaker's going to be taking on CM Punk. And then we got Sheamus, Randy Orton, Ryback taking on The Shield. So we need at least 4 to 5 more matches to say, okay, yeah, we can definitely break even right here. Everybody that is needed for this particular card is going to be there. So let's see, if you were to go the Chris Jericho Barrett route, that's match 5. Miz Cesaro, that's 6. So you still have a couple of more matches to go. Or like I said, you could just let it be match 5. Let it be a tag match. Put the titles on the line. I like that idea more. I don't know about you guys. All right, and that's going to do it for Friday Night SmackDown. All right, so let's hook you guys up with the very latest on what all's been going down with Ring of Honor Wrestling. It's been a little bit of a slow week so far for Ring of Honor, but in case you might have missed it, Ring of Honor is going to be having a live March 30th event down in North Carolina. Mark Briscoe will be challenging Kevin Steen for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. B.J. Whitmore will be facing off against Rhett Titus in a grudge match. And Ring of Honor TV champion Matt Tavern, he's going to be taking on Jay Lethal. Roderick Strong and ACH are going to be in a 4-corner survival proving ground match. Tickets are available now. Now, it should be noted that Jay Briscoe was originally scheduled to compete in a singles match on this March 30th event, but he's now unable to do so as he has a separated shoulder that he suffered from Rhino at the 11th anniversary pay-per-view. Jay will be in Mark's corner, however, at Ring of Honor's War event. And he is scheduled to face either his brother, Mark, or Kevin Steen for the world title at Supercard of Honor 4. And it was also announced for that war event that there's going to be Alabama Attitude, Mike Posey, and Corey Hollins. They'll be facing off against Ray Dragon for the World Tag Team titles in a special underdog match. Adam Page, Mike Mondo, and Grizzly Redwood, they have now officially been signed on to make an appearance at that war event as well. And in case you have not checked out that 11th anniversary pay-per-view, the replay is available now on their website, so make sure that you check that out. And also, in Ring of Honor news, looks like Charlie Haas will be taking on his former tag team partner, Shelton Benjamin, at the Supercard of Honor 7 on April 5th. Supercard of Honor will be a live pay-per-view event. I repeat, the April 5th Supercard Honor of 7 will be a pay-per-view event. Also at the Supercard of Honor, the American Wolves will be taking on Red Dragon for the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles. Excuse me, folks. Regardless of the outcome of the match, the next day during a TV taping, both members of each team will compete in a singles match. Davey Richards will face Kyle O'Reilly, and Eddie Edwards will go one-on-one with Bobby Fish. And tickets for that TV taping is available now. So go pick all that good stuff up. Check it out when you get a free moment. All right, so in other wrestling-related news, I want to tell you guys about, it looks like WWE has gone back to some very poor roots. Remember I was teasing you guys with Eve Torres somewhat making a return to the promotion. Well, she had appeared at an NXT event earlier in the week. It was at a meeting, and she met with some developmental talents. And she basically had talked about this on Twitter briefly. She said, had a chance to meet with some new WWE Diva prospects. Great group of beautiful, athletic, talented women. Futures looking bright. Looks like Eve was there to meet 10 Diva prospects who were just wrapping up a month-long training program. And these are the women WWE found through their supposed Diva search in Los Angeles and other major cities last month. And it looks like most of them were recruited through modeling agencies. There we go again. And besides meeting with Eve Torres, it looks like they also had met with trainers Bill DeMont, Sarah Del Way, possibly Ricky Steamboat or Dusty Rhodes. And I don't know how you guys feel about this. I'm very critical of this. I think WWE, as always, is going in the wrong direction. I think they need to leave the frickin' models alone, because 9 times out of 10, these models don't know diddly squat about wrestling. You have to teach them, and you're building them up. You're building up their stock. 4 years, 5 years later, they're just going to pick up their ball and they're going to roll out. And I really just feel that, God, haven't you guys learned enough already? Christy Hemme rolled out on you guys. Yeah, she's down there in TNA wrestling, but come on, let's be for real. She started off as a model, so I mean, and from the Diva Search competition. I mean, come on. God, it's frustrating. Kelly Kelly, Michelle McCool. God, I could go for 10 minutes just naming girls. It seems like the only diva that is still with the company that they got through their Diva Search competition was Layla. Layla seems to be the one girl that through it all, she's remained very loyal to the company, and look where she is right now. She's not exactly pushing the title. She's just kind of floating around here and there. It's very unfortunate, but I really wish WWE would stop picking up the divas from modeling agencies and just really go to the freaking cream of the crop. Go holler at promotions like Shimmer. Go holler at promotions like Shine Wrestling. My God, some of the best women from all around the world come to those promotions to throw it down. I mean, it's really ridiculous. I don't know. They're just going to keep learning the hard way, unfortunately. And I don't know, maybe Stephanie McMahon or Triple H, maybe once they come into full power, hopefully they'll kind of look at this and say to themselves, you know what, we just need to ditch this altogether and go with some actual freaking talent. I mean, seriously. But, hey, it is what it is, folks. And other than that, other wrestling news, we briefly had talked about this on Thursday's Impact Showdown Radio, but the question was put out there, what's going on with Rob Van Dam? His contract is set to expire soon with TNA Wrestling. Is he going to resign? Is he thinking about maybe going back to WWE? What's next for the whole effing show? Well, Rob Van Dam, he spoke briefly about it in a recent interview, and these are direct quotes right here. He said, I've been reading a lot of tweets concerning my contract as of late with TNA. Questions such as, is it true your contract is up? Has your contract expired? Are you re-signing with TNA? Are you joining WWE? What's the deal? I appreciate all of the questions, and I'm happy you brought it up, happy to address it, just not right now. I plead the fifth due to the grounds that it may be detrimental to my ongoing business affairs. Thank you for understanding, and very soon we'll talk about just that. Have a good day. So, hey, I respect what's going on with Rob Van Dam. Hopefully we can get a little bit something forthcoming in the coming weeks. And in case you haven't heard, WWE Shop's website has a new $200 plaque to commemorate CM Punk's 434-day reign as the WWE champion. Check this out. Here's the catch. There's only 434 plaques that were produced, and each one is signed by Punk and Paul Heyman. And at this point, it is probably sold out. So good luck to you if you're trying to look for that and it's no longer available. eBay would probably be your best bet, where they're probably going to want 2 to 3 times more the money. I thought this was interesting. Of course, I'm no stranger to this. Turns out UFC President Dana White, he recently revealed in an interview this past Friday night on Canadian French sports network RDS that Vince McMahon once proposed that the two of them fight. And, true. Dana White, he said, let me tell you something. Our quote's right here. And if I never said this before in any interview, and I've never said this before in any interview anywhere, if Vince hears this, he's going to go nuts. Vince is too old, which he won't think he is, and he'll go crazy. And he wanted to fight one time. Vince wanted me to fight, swear to God. Called me up and said, let's do it. We can either do it in the UFC or let's do it at WrestleMania. And I said, are you crazy? And he noted that at the time, 67-year-old, he said, I always have said it and I'll say it again. I respect Vince, but Vince is too old to fight anybody. Now, it looks like the supposed match was supposed to go down at WrestleMania 27, as the idea was the two main events were supposed to be John Cena taking on The Miz for the WWE title, and then Dana White taking on Vince McMahon. I'm actually glad that did not happen, because there's just no way in hell Dana White was going to lose to Vince McMahon. Wow, that's just crazy. And, to follow up on something we had heard a couple of weeks ago, I know we kind of briefly talked about it, but we didn't really go in depth. $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, he was recently asked about his relationship with former bodyguard Virgil. Now, if you guys recall, and this is why I always say for a little bit of news you can use, check out our Facebook page. We posted a couple of weeks back a photo of Virgil. He's been making headlines. Apparently, rumor is that he's homeless, or times are tough, whatever. Fan had took a picture of him panhandling in a subway station in New York. He set up a little table, was selling autographs, signed autographs, but one of the fans had mentioned how they were able to talk him down to $5. I guess originally maybe he wanted $25, who knows. But a fan had asked WWE legend, $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase about the relationship with Virgil, letting him know about how he saw him selling T-shirts and all that. And only thing Ted DiBiase had to say was, that's what I've heard. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but he still considers him a friend. I don't know about that. Most of my friends I usually keep track of, and we've definitely done our best to try to find out what's going on with Virgil, try to see if there's any type of way to get in contact with him to, maybe come on the show and talk about what's going on and try to see if maybe we can, get him a little bit of help if the times are rough. Because, honestly, this guy can make a serious killing on eBay. If he doesn't have access to a computer or whatever, I'm sure that definitely guys like us and other folks would be more than happy to help him out. So this is a special shout out to those of you in the New York area. That's where he keeps popping up. And you're a fan of the show, if you happen to run into Virgil, definitely let him know that the RCWR show is trying to hook him up, see if maybe we could get something going for him, hear what's going on with his life, if it's that rough. I don't know, maybe we can do a Kickstarter program for him and, try to get some money for him. And, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but it's always sad when you hear about WWF legends from the 80s that are kind of not doing so good. You think about it now. There's really not too many that are doing as well as they should be. They're kind of struggling, and it's unfortunate when you hear that, especially guys like Virgil. Yeah, they might have not been The Rock or Hulk Hogan or Andre the Giant, but in their own ways, they did contribute to the sport. And I always think it's sad when you hear how low a person has sank in their career or life. All right, we're going to take a very brief commercial break now that we've got all the wrestling news out the way. We come right back. We're going to hook you guys up with the very latest and what's been going on in entertainment. And, hey, I got a really cool kick-ass review for you guys for Dave Grohl's Sound City soundtrack album, along with another goodie I want to review for you guys. We'll dip into all that. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. You're checking out the weekend edition of the RCWR show on March 16th, 2013. We'll be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond, you're listening to the RCWR Show, Weekend Edition, with your host, Lee Sanders.
Weekend edition of the RCWR Show. Black Avenger Lee Sanders here. You were just listening to Civil Twilight, name of that song that you were listening to. Kick-ass song at that. Letters to the Sky. Great freaking album. I had the fortunate pleasure of checking it out earlier this week. And, man, that is just a phenomenal album. If you know your wrestling, you know you've been hearing that song in the video package between John Cena and The Rock. Yeah, the first time I saw and heard the song, I was like, wow, these guys, they sound pretty damn good, and I have a keen ear for pretty damn good music when I hear it. So I was like, okay, let me do a little bit of homework. Let me see what's going on with this band here. They very interesting name, like Civil Twilight. Okay, that sounds pretty damn wicked. Let's see what these guys are about. And this album, unfortunately, it's been out for a little bit. It originally had came out in 2009. But, I mean, these guys, they only have two official LP albums under their belt. I believe they have a EP, but, yeah, only two LPs under their belt. And their newest album, called Holy Weather, it had came out last year, and that's been doing phenomenally well in the U.S. And I should point out to you guys that if you want to check this out, I highly encourage you to check out their self-debuted album titled Civil Twilight. And the reason why I suggest that is because the album comes off more as a classic 80s mixed in with current music. I don't know if you kind of get the gist of what I'm saying. I mean, in case you weren't able to tell and you know your rock music, they really come off like early U2. That would be the best way I could describe. Remember all those great hits and those great albums that was coming from U2 in the 80s. Remember how we had War and then October, two really good albums right there. Of course, U2's self-titled album, Boy. They Civil Twilight, they really kind of just capture the aura of early U2 in those albums, but they're also mixed in with a little bit of Radiohead in there. Some will be very quick to kind of go the Coldplay route. I see just a faint hint of that as I listen to them, but U2 and Radiohead, those are the two that really stand out more in my mind. I even have a little bit of The Police mixed in there. The newer album, they've pretty much ditched everything that brought them to the dance the first go round. It sounds more of a easy breezing listening album that kind of comes off like maybe Trent Reznor had paid a visit to the studio and he was laying down the audio. It's not necessarily a bad album, but it's a real departure from what they did on their debut album. but I do highly encourage you guys to pick up their self-titled debut. I can't pick one track that I had a problem with. You will enjoy all the tracks, and if I were to rate it right now, I would give it a 9 out of 10. Only reason why it doesn't have a 10 out of 10 is because I wanted more freaking music from them. And the label, by the way, it's Wind Up. And if you're familiar with Wind Up Records, then you guys know that Creed, they had used to be under that label. I believe they still are under that label. Evanescence, Filter, Seether, Young Guns. Previous artists that Wind Up has had was Alter Bridge, American Pearl. So it kind of gives you a little bit of an idea there. You know, Wind Up usually has a good taste when it comes to talent, but that's definitely one album I would like for you guys to check out first. And then if you end up liking it, then check out the Holy Weather album. As I said, it's a major departure from what they did on their debut. But you'll actually like that album, too. I would actually give that one. I didn't listen to it in its entirety, but I did listen to like 2 minutes of each track just to get a really good feel for it. And I'll definitely review it for you guys next weekend. But for now, and we'll see if my opinion changes, but for now, and I think I'll probably be sticking to it, I would have to give the Holy Weather album a modest, I'll say 7.5 out of 10. I'll give it. Of course, we were teasing you guys all week long talking about the Sound City soundtrack album, Sound City Reel to Reel, and you know, I was kicking back. I was listening to this album. There's a couple of tracks that really just jumped out there in my mind. Of course, off the break, I have to go with the Cut Me Some Slack track. You got to wait almost towards the end of the album just to hear that daggone song. Of course, that's Dave Grohl, Paul McCartney, Chris Novoselic, and Pat Smear. They all just jamming on that freaking track. Love it. Most standout track in my mind. Another one I liked the most was Mantra. That was Dave Grohl on vocals. Also, Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age, and Trent Reznor, 9 Inch Nails. I mean, that was a damn good song in itself right there. Nice little slow build-up. It's like a 7+ minute song. It's got this nice, quiet little build-up, and like you just hear Dave Grohl and Homme. They're just doing their thing on the vocals, and you're wondering to yourself, well, where's Trent Reznor? When is he going to come in? And it's like once it starts to get to that half-minute mark, you know, halfway through the song, and then you kind of start to hear Trent Reznor coming up. He's creeping in more and more, and then he finally just takes over, and it's a very good, well-produced song, I thought, and it kind of gives me an idea of what would happen if Dave Grohl and Trent Reznor were to go into the studio and try to make a whole album together. Of course, these guys, they've hooked up before on Trent Reznor's 9 Inch Nails with Teeth album, phenomenal album at that. If you haven't checked that out yet, why you haven't, I don't know, but you want to go scoop that up. But Mantra, that's another one that really stands out in my mind. I love the Stevie Nicks song titled You Can't Fix This. I thought that was pretty freaking phenomenal. It really kind of came off like a Fleetwood Mac song. I mean, I was just really amazed at how Dave Grohl, Taylor Hawkins, how they were able to keep up with Nicks. And Stevie Nicks, the way that she just beautifully laid out the vocals on this track, which really kind of spoke volumes to me of a heart being broken, that couldn't be fixed, a relationship that's kind of run its course, and there's not any Band-Aid in the world that can kind of patch it up because the feelings have been hurt, and that's it. Great freaking song. I love it. Loved it a lot. I actually kept going back to that one a lot. Another one that stands out to me would have to be I'm looking at the tracks right now. There's one that really jumped out at me. It had to do with Taylor Hawkins. I want to say it was... Oh, God, it's hard to say. I want to say it might have been The Man That Never Was. I thought that was a phenomenally good track. Surprisingly, guys, the tracks that I thought were the weakest actually had to do with Rick Springfield. Because I know Rick Springfield, he had made a appearance on this album, and I had thought he did a little bit of a poor job on it. I wasn't too pleased with what I had heard from him. It was actually, correction, The Man That Never Was. Yeah, that was Rick Springfield. I didn't care too much for that track. You'll actually find yourself skipping that particular song. And but overall, I would have to give this album a modest... There was at least 3 songs I had skipped from this, and it's 11 tracks. It's a tough call, man. I'd have to give this album an honest 6 out of 10. That might bum some folks out, but, you know, if it was me, best advice I can give you guys, you don't have to buy the whole album. Just pick up key tracks, the ones I named. Pick up Mantra. Pick up You Can't Fix This. You definitely want to pick up... I'm sorry, guys. I only listened to the album in its entirety once. I had it in my mind there, but I've been so busy with the multitasking over here. There's one track that Tyler Hawkins did, which sounded like it was a rehash from one of their Foo Fighter albums. I wish I could remember the name right now, but unfortunately I can't. But that's another song that should be picked up. I want to say it is... I'm not going to even guess because I don't want you guys buying the wrong damn thing. You'll know it when you hear it, though. But there's only like three, maybe four songs that I would recommend you check out from this album. But it's definitely a pass. Just pick up those key singles, and you'll be good to go. You can thank me later for that. All right, so let's go on ahead and let's talk about the very latest in entertainment news. And we definitely want to thank those of you that's checking out the show right now. Hope you enjoy the content that we're covering on today's show. I got some Elton John news for you guys. Looks like he recently had canceled a show as he was set to perform in Birmingham, Alabama. Now, this had came abruptly due to medical reasons, according to the Associated Press. And officials at the Birmingham Jefferson Convention Complex Arena, where Elton John was supposed to perform, they did not offer any additional details as of press time. Ticketmaster, being the awesome guys that they are offering refunds to those who purchase the tickets. He is scheduled to play at Memphis, Tennessee's FedEx Forum tonight. No word right now of what's going on with that show. Now, this is all coming fresh as Elton is currently touring ahead of his September release for his new album, The Diving Board. So hopefully we will learn a little bit more about what's going on with Elton John right there. You know, he is up there in age after all. Maybe he needs to just kick back and just rest up a little bit more and, maybe resume touring as the album draws more closer to its release date. I got some John Morrison news for you guys. We want to follow up on this, something we told you guys a couple of months ago. Looks like John Morrison will be memorialized in a new independent documentary that has already started production. Before the End, Jim Morrison Comes of Age. It's going to be giving a look into the life of the late Doors singer, examining his early days right on up to his death in July of 1971 at the young age of 27. Now, according to a report from Deadline.com, Before the End will feature interviews from Morrison's family and friends, including his brother and Doors roadie Garth Bleeth, as well as previously unseen home movies and photographs. Z Machine filmmakers Jess and Jeff Finn are the ones leading the project. Now, keep in mind that Morrison and the Doors, they've been the subject within recent years of a number of documentaries that are supposed to be in the works, and one of them, Mr. Mojo Rising, the story of the L.A. Woman, which is a film about the Doors' final album with Morrison, was released just earlier in, January of last year, if I'm not mistaken. I got some Robert Plant news for you guys. Looks like he's going to be playing at the festival at the George in July. Now, remember, this kind of comes just fresh off of him revealing in a recent interview that he's not the bad guy when it comes to trying to reform Led Zeppelin, as he pointed out that folks need to go talk to Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones to see what's going on as far as a Zeppelin reunion, but stressed that he is free in 2014. Now, looks like he is going to be doing this festival. It's going to be coming up, I believe, in July. It's going to run from July 5th and 6th. And this is according to the UltimateClassicRock.com. He's going to be performing with his new band, the Sensation Space Shifters, or as I like to still think of them as the Strange Sensation. That's not going to change for me. It's pretty much still the same damn lineup. They just tweaked it just a little bit. But, so if you're going to be in there, check that out. Of course, you can go to Robert Plant's website over at robertplant.com for all the upcoming tour dates. Doing a lot of stuff outside of the U.S. See what else I got for you guys that kind of wetting your lips a little bit for this weekend as far as entertainment news. I know we've been hearing a little bit of rumblings about Lil Wayne dead and all that other crap, and if you're still tripping over that, look, Lil Wayne is not dead. I don't know who spread this vicious rumor, but he's alive and well, and this is according to a close source from one friend, rapper and Cash Money president Mac Manny, who basically denied the reports that the rapper is in a coma. Now, this rumor had began on Friday after TMZ reported that Lil Wayne was in critical condition at a Los Angeles Cedars-Sinai Hospital, where the 30-year-old rapper was first admitted on Tuesday after suffering from multiple seizures. The site had also reported that Wayne was given his last rites, but it has since has been deleted. That information has since been deleted, and it looks like an official statement will be coming shortly. But again, can't be stressed. Don't believe all that crap about comas and tubes so the man can breathe. All that is just false. And sources close to Wayne are telling Rolling Stone magazine that while the rapper did indeed have a seizure that sent him to the hospital, he is expected to recover. Now, it should be noted, folks, this isn't the first time that Wayne's seizures have made their public appearance there. In October, just last year, he experienced seizure-like symptoms on a private jet, forcing it to make an emergency landing in Texas while he was taken to a local hospital. His health issues appear to be resurfacing just as he's getting ready to release his next album, I Am Not a Nice Human 2, later this month. And we'll actually give a review for that album, let you guys know how it is. But thoughts and prayers definitely go out to Lil Wayne. If you want to send him your best wishes, definitely. I'm sure there's a fan club mail. I'm sure there's also Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those respective outlets. You can try to get in contact with him. Phil Spector, HBO film. Oh, Lord, you knew it was going to happen. It's being protested by Lana Clarkson's former publicist. Now, remember, we were telling you guys about this movie, and you know how much of a huge Al Pacino fan I am. Looks like there's a group of protesters that had gathered around the Los Angeles County Museum of Art earlier this week to oppose the HBO film Phil Spector, accusing the movie of implying the deceased actress, Lana Clarkson, committed suicide. Now, one of the protesters was Clarkson's former publicist by the name of Edward Lawsey, who said the group changed their focus from preventing the film's production to blocking the movie from Emmys recognition. To see this film was going to be made was a slap in the face. Let me make sure I read that right. That sounds a little scratchy there, don't it, guys? To see that this film was going to be made was a slap in the face, Losey told the Hollywood Reporter. We were so happy Phil Spector was in jail. Losey and two other men held a sign that read, HBO's Phil Spector murders the truth. No Emmy for the film that hurts people alive today. Losey said the protest represented around 50 core members of the group Friends of Lana Clarkson. Of course, Phil Spector, no story right here. It's a biop that they are doing that stars Al Pacino as Spector and Helen Mirren as the defense attorney, Linda Kenny Baden. Losey said he had seen the film and was unhappy with its focus on Spector's defense, which revolved around the idea that Clarkson killed herself. Now, according to Losey, the film suggests Clarkson committed suicide because she was depressed after turning 40. Clarkson was found dead in Spector's Alverham, California mansion back in 2003, as you all recall, and Spector was convicted of second-degree murder in 2009, and he was sentenced to 19 years to life in prison. Now, director David Mamet had suggested in 2011 that Spector might be innocent. They should have never sent him away. Whether he did it or not, we'll never know, he had told the Financial Times. But if he'd been a regular citizen, they never would have indicted him. And bear in mind that last February, Spector had tried to put in an appeal, which was shot down by the U.S. Supreme Court. So this movie is already off to a very interesting and hot start. I like how the movie looked. I have yet to check it out. I'm not really sure if it's already been released, but one thing is for certain, and if these guys can have it their way and are able to make a huge influence on the Hollywood industry, this movie may get a blind eye as far as Emmy nominations. But we'll definitely keep posted on that for you guys, let you know what all's coming up with that. And one last piece of news that I want to share with you guys before we get ready to wrap it up for the day. Looks like Berry Gordy, Motown pioneer, is going to be receiving the Pioneer Award from the Songwriters Hall of Fame. And looks like for everything that he's accomplished, it's about damn time that he's going to be getting another Hall of Fame award. Nice to have another one on the trophy shelf there. This is all going to be going down on June 13th in New York. Now, this is a direct quote right here from the chairman of the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Berry Gordy is an innovator and a visionary. Yes, he created a label, but more than that, he created a genre. Think about it. He pioneered a marketplace for African-American artistry, and then he invented the world in it to enjoy it. Berry was way ahead of his time. His young and immaculately groomed and dressed artists were among the first to receive media training. Berry Gordy and the Motown sound are essential to the American music story. And, of course, Gordy, songwriter, producer, entrepreneur, founder of Tama Records in Detroit back in 1959, built the label into a music empire that launched the careers of stars such as Smokey Robinson, Diana Ross, The Supremes, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, Jackson 5, Michael Jackson. I mean, just an A-list of great talent. And the 83-year-old, as again, is going to be celebrating this historic milestone on June 13th. He will be the recipient of the Pioneer Award from the Songwriters Hall of Fame. And my hat's off to Mr. Gordy. I love that guy. And that's pretty much going to do it, folks. You know, I want to just kick on back and let you guys know we love doing the weekend edition for you guys, and we're glad that we're back doing this, as we were on hiatus there for that 1 week. But it's always fun when we do this for you guys. And I know one of the things that we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks, because we got a few more weekend editions that we're going to be doing leading up into WrestleMania. We'll definitely be hooking you guys up with more reviews. Next Saturday on our weekend edition, we'll give a honest, blatant review for the new Gears of War Judgment game. Yours truly will be sitting down. I may actually end up taking a whole day off from work to kick on back and check this game out, give it the actual full in-depth review for you guys. But in either case, next Saturday, we're going to have that for you. We'll also have a couple of new reviews for some new albums, what's new on DVD, so you definitely want to check that out. It's going to be some pretty good stuff. And we'll have some more news. You know how we do it over here for you guys. I got some more news I'd like to share with you all, but I don't want to go too much into overtime. I think you guys got enough fixings for now. We don't need to get everything into one episode, yeah? Talk of wrestling and beyond, it may end here for now, but do us a huge favor. Check out our website over at InfinityOneProductions.com. And for a little bit of news you can use, check out Facebook at InfinityOneProductions.com. Befriend us on Twitter at InfinityOneProd for all the latest on upcoming shows. Check us out on Twitter at the RCWR Show. Don't have Twitter, you say? Oh, that sucks. Well, next best thing. Go to blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show. There's a little option. You'll be able to click on receive email alerts, follow, and you'll always get the 411 on upcoming shows that we're going to be doing. If you ended up liking today's show, you're a first-time listener, definitely go out of your way, follow us, like us, and you'll never miss out on all the great content that we got coming up. I will be joined by the one and only Diamond K this Tuesday night for the Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR Show. We'll cover the fallout from WWE Raw. YouTube subscribers, you guys know you get first crack at my thoughts of Raw Monday nights on a 30-minute Raw post show, so make sure you check that out. Be kind and rewind. Any episode that you might have missed, check it out in iTunes, also on Stitcher. Use the keywords, the RCWR Show. Everybody, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Until I hear from you guys next time around, y'all be safe and be kind to one another. We'll see you next time, folks. Take care.